This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Total Red Man has ever done something like this to me!
It's, time!
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the dregs of humanity!
Welcome to a very special installment of the It Was a Thing on TV podcast. Episode number 16. Entry number 121. The Star Wars Holiday Special. Airing on CBS November 17th, 1978.
Chico, what network did it air on?
CBS.
Thank you, Brent.
Also, we should throw in that we didn't play the Star Wars theme for obvious reasons. One is length, because the open is very long. Number two is Disney, don't sue us.
Right.
Well, given the amount of places that the Star Wars Holiday Special is readily available, I don't think they're worried about that.
No, I mean, you'd think that years and years ago these would have been taken off the internet, but they either don't care about it or they just want everybody to suffer like I did.
Yeah, you would think that now that Disney owns the Star Wars everything, they try to cash in on nostalgia plus cheese.
Oh, and also, I'm sorry, I just thought of something very interesting. We're doing the episode this weekend, we're doing it on Friday, and what opened today is Star Wars Episode 9, one more because Disney needs the money.
Well,
I think it's the subtitle. Episode 9, one more because Disney needs the money.
Well, as long as I'm still waiting for Spaceballs 2 to search for more money, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Wait, 751. The Spaceballs the series 751.
I'm conflicted because I love Spaceballs, but no. Okay. And the thing is, I'm sorry if they ever do a Spaceballs 2. Mel Brooks is close to 95 years old, and I don't think it would get the justice it deserves.
Okay.
But enough about that. We're talking about something that's worse than Spaceballs.
Okay.
Well, guys, Star Wars, when it premiered in 1977, was a runaway success. It was such an unexpected hit that even the toy company that was making the action figures for Star Wars did not anticipate how successful this movie would be.
Yeah,
in Christmas of 1977, they didn't have the action figures ready.
Oops.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Boo on you, Kenner. But it seems like when Star Wars first came out in 1977, it was a clean break. Everyone ended. The good guys won, the bad guys lost, and everybody was happy. Just one problem with that. It was a big hit. And now 20th Century Fox wanted more. Well, George Lucas wanted more money. Anyway. But yeah, it's just, okay, how can we milk this thing for all it's worth? Enter the 70s, where you have, it seems like the entire cast was on that episode of The Muppet Show, which was a really good episode, and it was really well received to the point where 20th Century Fox, and all of its wisdom, teamed up with Steve Binder and CBS to produce the Star Wars Holiday Special 1 year later. It really took a year to make this piece of crap.
I know. Well, before we get to that, I should mention that the Star Wars Holiday Special was not the first Star Wars Network special on TV. In 1977, there was The Making of Star Wars that aired on ABC, and who narrated The Making of Star Wars, you ask? Well, it'd be none other than the narrator of Manimal, William Conrad.
Wow. He is. Wow, William Conrad narrates the hell out of everything.
Roar!
You know what?
The Star Wars Holiday Special.
No. It's Row! The making of Star Wars.
You're getting ahead of yourself, Mike.
Yeah. And also, it should be noted that George Lucas, in case Star Wars was not a hit, he actually had a backup plan for Star Wars in case it wasn't a hit. His original idea for a Star Wars sequel was a low-budget, made-for-TV movie called Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and he had Alan Dean Foster, an acclaimed sci-fi writer who ghost-wrote the novelization of the original Star Wars movie. He wrote the novel of the proposed sequel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and it was basically, if you read it, it's a low-budget idea of a kind of low-budget kind of movie. Luke and Leia are searching for something called the Kyber Crystal on a planet. Darth Vader's there, and of course, when
that seems very low budget, very bush rank. But then Star Wars made a big hit, and that had to be scuttled for something a little bit more expository. Enter The Empire Strikes Back. But then there's those 3 years between A New Hope and Empire, so what's a person in search of more money to do?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
You said that if this was not successful, that George Lucas had this other special that you noticed, like a lower resolution or a worse copy or whatever you want to call it, not up to the level of Star Wars.
Not even close.
Okay, wouldn't they have known that like almost immediately? I mean, if you look at it, remember, even like To Tell the Truth back in '78 with Joe Garagiola, yeah, it was in its waning days, and they had an episode, I believe it was to determine the real Darth Vader, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, everybody was
So the thing is, wouldn't they have known it was a hit at that time? Because I'm assuming that, To Tell the Truth probably stopped recording, well, let's see, halfway through the season would be March of '78. So they probably recorded that episode, I'm guessing January, maybe February of '78. I'm trying to determine, how did he not know it was a hit immediately? I mean, I can understand why it would take 12 months, or just about 12 months, for this holiday special to come, instead of just like a 1-year anniversary special, or just some little teaser for some filler before you get to The Empire Strikes Back.
Well, to your question, look at when it was released. It was released literally 1 week before actually 6 days before Thanksgiving. And this was just when the idea of Christmas coming right on the heels of Thanksgiving started to take root. So, yeah, let's make it a bit of a holiday thing. But here's the thing, because again, we also had this was also the age of Christmas in the stars, so they were milking the whole Star Wars thing for ages. But here's the thing, this is not necessarily a Christmas thing per se, and it was in the midst of, it was the last Friday of November sweeps, so hey, let's cash in on the Star Wars deal, and we have the plot line, and again, this is one of those things that ties A New Hope to Empire in the loosest way possible.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. Before this starts, before we start talking about the holiday special, I want to talk about one thing.
What's that?
Fighting the frizzies.
Fighting the frizzies?
Yes, fighting the frizzies at 11. Okay, the reference here is in one copy of the Star Wars Holiday Special before it starts. It's a copy from WCBS 2 in New York, and there's a news anchor teasing the 11 o'clock news lead story, and it's fighting the frizzies at 11. And it became so iconic in a bootleg tape that was passed around all over the years that back in 1999, Trey Parker and Matt Stone referenced it in the South Park episode Mr. Hanky's Christmas Classics.
I remember that episode, yeah.
Now I'm going to have to go back and take a look at that episode.
Yes, you do, sir.
What are the frizzies? That's what I'm curious about.
I don't know, but apparently in 1978, they had to be fought.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah, we weren't in any sort of war in 1978, so we had to create our own war, the war against the frizzies.
This was before cable. This was before cable had a monopoly on culture wars. You see. Yeah, I went there.
All right, let's get to the special, what we all came here to listen to.
Okay, yes. Okay, so, after the events of the original film, Chewie and Han Solo pilot the Falcon to Chewie's home planet of Kashyyyk to observe something called Life Day.
Life Day?
Life Day. That it can never be a simple trip, i.e. Harold and Kumar goes to White Castle. They have to make a bunch of stops, they have to run into a bunch of people, and of course, because Darth Vader is still a little bit mad about what happened during A New Hope. Remember, this was before he and Luke had a heart-to-heart in Empire. Spoiler alert. Yeah, he decides to send his stormtroopers ahead of Chewie and Han to Kashyyyk to try and ambush his family, which consists of, and I am not kidding here, his father Itchy, his wife Mala, and his son Lumpy. Yeah. If it sounds like it doesn't make any sense, it is because it indeed doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, those names sound so non-canonical. Lumpy and Itchy. I mean, it sounds like they have skin conditions. They're not Wookiees.
Yeah. Well, the trip uses many of the same sets, props, and footage from the movie because, yeah, it's a television show. Of course you're going to splice movie footage. Save on the budget. Come on, people. This is how you do TV back in 1978. Anyway, so the family started to get worried, and Mala contacts Luke Skywalker, who is working on his X-Wing. And Luke tells her that he doesn't know where Han and Chewie are, so Mala contacts Son Dan, a human trader, who tells her through a carefully worded message that Han and Chewie are on their way and should be arriving soon. Then Mala hires a chef, but not just any chef, Chef Gourmanda, played by Harvey Korman.
Well, let's get one thing straight. Mala is watching a cooking show starring Chef Gourmanda, and Mala actually in Wiki Speak says hello back to Chef.
Yeah. You can tell George Lucas did not write this. Anyway.
Oh no.
Oh wait, it gets better. So Son has Life Day gifts for everyone, including a VR fantasy program involving Diane Carroll. Because
now,
who doesn't?
Here we go.
Because who doesn't want a VR fantasy program involving Diane Carroll?
All right, Mike. Let's hear your thoughts about this.
Okay, first off, what did Diane Carroll have on her head? I mean, what was her hair was some hot mess, as the kids would say. And
remember, this was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Nobody cared.
It goes beyond the galaxy far, far away. It has also to do with, George Lucas didn't give a darn. But yeah, Diane, there's like so much I didn't understand. And I'll be the first to admit, I know as much about Star Wars as I do about nuclear physics. Pretty much all I know is that somehow Jean-Luc Picard is on the Enterprise.
Michael Klaus, what's wrong with you?
Well, okay, my Star Wars experience is limited to going to Empire Strikes Back in 1980, and I remember going with my dad and my then, he would have been probably 17, my 17 or 16-year-old uncle, and I had no idea what was going on. And honestly, almost 40 years later, I still don't.
Okay. All right. Well, getting back to while Itchy is playing with Diane Carroll, God knows what they're doing. Lumpy hears a roaring of a ship. Mala opens the door, but does she find Han and Chewie? No, she finds two Imperial stormtroopers.
I noticed that the VR headset wasn't even over Itchy's eyes when he put it on. So how did he get to enjoy it unless it, like, interfered with his brainwaves?
Well, they're just making it up as it goes along, so man, it might have connected to his brainwaves. Who knows?
What the hell is the deal with the acrobats and the tumblers and those people in that? I did not get that. And that's it. Just made no sense.
The only thing I can think of is they need filler.
The first 10 minutes of this is just Chewbacca's family and Wookiee speak and the acrobatics. I can only imagine the adults watching this in 1978 being like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah, like anybody over the age of about 30, I'm sure is like, this is like, not just stupid, but like trippy. Unless they went to go see the movie, I'm sure, maybe if they had a little bit of the backstory, it might make some sense. But this, this is clearly on for the kids in 1978, not the adults.
Yeah, because Itchy's not the only person with a VR headset. Mala has a little something of her own, and it just so happens to play Jefferson's Starship, minus Grace Slick.
Yeah, even Grace Slick had enough dignity to say, no, I don't want to do this.
I don't know who got the better deal on the VR headsets. Do I get Diane Carroll or do I get Jefferson's Starship without Grace Slick? It seems like 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah. So, but not to be outdone, Lumpy has his own little whatchamajigger, and what plays on it? Perhaps the only thing saving this from complete and utter failure. A cartoon about a search for a talisman involving a bounty hunter by the name of Boba Fett, who saves Luke from a giant monster and claims to want to help the rebels.
This is the first appearance, ladies and gentlemen, of Boba Fett in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Nelvana. They're the ones who animated it, and 2 more Star Wars properties later on, Star Wars Ewoks and Star Wars Droids, both with involvement from George Lucas.
Hopefully one day we'll get the full series on DVD, Disney.
Come on now!
Just saying.
Is it on Disney Plus? I don't know. Anyway, Fett and Chewie return to the Falcon with the cure for Han, who is actually in a mysterious sleeping state thanks to a virus caused by a talisman that they were looking for. Fett blasts away in his jetpack, promising they will meet again. And of course, they do meet again in Empire. Yeah, and I guess they haven't really shaken off this whole adventure because Han Solo ends up being frozen in carbonite. Go figure. So, now, because you can't have 2 hours of Wookiees grunting at each other. Just doesn't work that way. Lumpy's creating a translation device that will fool the Imperials into returning to their base by faking their commander's voice. Now but to do so, he has to watch the manual for the device being presented by a malfunctioning, incompetent droid being played by Harvey Korman. Harvey Korman plays a lot of things in this.
I just want to say, this is not the best how-to video if the droid in the video is malfunctioning.
Right.
And you were talking about Harvey Korman. Did you talk about him as the chef, the TV chef?
Yes. He was the TV chef, and he was also the malfunctioning droid.
The one thing I noticed about Harvey Korman's character, the chef, is it just me, or did it resemble Mom from Futurama a little too much?
It wasn't just you, Mike.
No.
Minus the creepy forearms.
Wait, Mom had 4 arms. Oh, no, you're talking about... Okay, never mind. Anyway, okay, so while the Imperial stormtroopers are downstairs looking for Han and Chewie, a view screen activates announcing that Tatooine is being put under curfew by the Empire because of subversive forces. Said video was announced as required viewing for all Imperial forces, and much of it features the Mos Eisley Cantina, as run by Akamina, played by B. Arthur.
And this is probably the second best thing in the special. Just B. Arthur.
And then there's Maud.
And then there's Maud singing.
Yeah. And this is also marks the third appearance of Harvey Korman in the special, because he plays an alien who drinks by pouring liquid over a hole in his head.
Yeah. Like we said, Harvey Korman plays everybody. So
it's like the Eddie Murphy of this special.
Uh-huh. And Lumpy uses the opportunity while the stormtroopers are being distracted by B. Arthur to put his plan into motion, faking a repeated call for the Imperials to return to base. One stormtrooper stays behind, realizing he was tricked. He finds Lumpy, destroys the machine. Meanwhile, Han and Chewie have just pulled into the planet. Chewie protects Lumpy as Han dispatches the stormtrooper, and after they're reunited, an Imperial officer appears on the view screen, giving a general alert for a missing stormtrooper. Song quickly responds that the trooper stole supplies and deserted. Uh-oh. Danger averted. Family prepares to go to the Tree of Life and offer their Life Day prayers, I guess? Then Wookiees walk into a bright star, and in comes the rest of the Star Wars cast. We're talking C-3PO, R2-D2, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Han Solo, all joining together in the festivities. Chewie remembers the original film, and Leia sings a Life Day song. And that was the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh, that song Leia sings brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it?
Not as much as Heavily Redacted.
Stay tuned for Flying High next on these CBS stations.
Yeah.
And now we get into another great thing about the Star Wars Holiday Special. The commercials.
Oh, are we gonna fight the Frizz now?
Well, we already fought the frizzies. Now we're talking about the Reggie Bar. There was a commercial for the Reggie Bar during this.
Yeah, there was during the first break. Yes.
That screams 1978. We had a commercial for a bunch of Union people talking about ladies' garments singing a song.
Well, yeah, look for the Union label. I don't know if that's a song they sang, but that was something that they sang on TV commercials back in the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah, that was on this special.
Yep, and then there was a commercial for the show that we talked about on the last episode. Something about stewardesses, one of them being played by Connie Selica, another one being played by Pat Klaus, and the third one being played by somebody without a Wikipedia page.
Catherine Witt.
Like I said.
And it was very provocative, to say the least.
Connie Selica is like stripping down. And also the best part, Pam has a great layover with whom you might ask? Bobby Sherman.
Ratings gold.
It was sweeps, like you said, and as we said last week, it was an oversexed show, showing off that jiggle factor that we talked about last week.
Yeah, man.
Bobby's, yeah. That, you know what? That was probably on Itchy's VR display. Who knows?
And also, we should say that because of the Star Wars Holiday Special, that's sort of why we inducted or added Flying High to our list.
Yes.
Because otherwise, this episode wouldn't make sense.
No. And also, it should be noted about the cast of the Star Wars Holiday Special. Kenny Baker, who played R2-D2 in the films, was not involved in the special. R2-D2 was performed entirely by a radio-controlled unit. R2-D2 is credited by the announcer as playing himself. And fun fact, who was the announcer of the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Art James.
Yes.
Fresh off of the future installment, Magnificent Marble Machine.
Well, not fresh. I mean, that's 2.5 years, almost 3 years later.
Hey, 3 years is a long time in the 70s.
Well, but he wasn't fresh. I mean, there wasn't much fresh about Art James in 1978, but continue.
And also, because James Earl Jones was originally uncredited in Star Wars, this special marks the first time he was ever credited as the voice of Darth Vader. And here's something for you, Mike. You were talking about how the names of Itchy and Lumpy were just like, what the heck? Well, here's the thing. The names of Chewbacca's family have been later explained to have been nicknames. Their full names being for Mala, Malatalo Buck, for Itchy, I can't even pronounce this.
A Chittichuk?
Yeah, that one. And for Lumpy, Lumpa Warrump or Lumpa Walru, I think. I don't know. It makes sense why they shortened the names to that.
Sure, whatever.
Alright, Chico, go back to what you were going to say.
That was actually what I was going to say. I mean, you had everybody on Star Wars, and you combine that with, oh look, let's throw in a variety show just for fun. So you basically had 90% of the cast of Star Wars, the rest of the cast appearing in archival footage being spliced into the movie because, hey, you can't do a variety show for 2 hours and expect it to make some sort of sense. Although, let's be honest, this didn't even make sense when it was properly done. But yeah, I got Lucas imagined a film just about Wookiees, nothing else. And that was sort of the seed of this whole enterprise. And according to writer J.W. Rinsler, everybody agreed that a television special was a good idea. So a television special just about the Wookiees and nothing else. CBS bought it, and unfortunately Lucas was busy on Empire to have any say-so in it. So who did most of the writing? It wasn't George Lucas. It wasn't Lawrence Kasdan. Hell, it wasn't even a 10-year-old J.J. Abrams. But we will get to that. It was, check out these names here: Pat Proft, Leonard Rips, Rod Warren, Mitzi Welch, and, are you ready for this one? Bruce Valanche.
Boy, that's a long way from Hollywood Squares.
Yes, it is.
Well, that's one way to definitely cut your teeth in the industry.
Yeah.
It was a paying gig.
Everybody's got to take their first sip of the blue milk, as they say. See, Greg knows what I'm talking about. Anyway.
Yeah, just ask Luke in The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. So, you have all of these guys, and so they basically said, okay, now we have Lucas. He's uncredited, but it was his idea, and now Lucas didn't want to budge on his vision because Bruce Valanche was pretty much concerned about the whole. How do you make a movie out of a family that doesn't speak the English language? So enter David Akomba, who was brought in to make it more variety-ish. It just so happens that Akomba was a classmate of George Lucas at USC. Yeah, he went to school with me before I did. Akomba and George Lucas were classmates at USC Film School. Unfortunately, they had no idea how to do a multiple camera setup. And yeah, the end result was, well, you saw it. We saw a story with a bunch of grunting, a bunch of videos featuring Harvey Korman, music by Jefferson Starship, and acrobatics for 5 or 10 minutes for some reason. Oh yeah, and also the cartoon with Boba Fett, which would prove pinnacle to the rest of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Not to mention the unlicensed sound-alike version of the John Williams score.
That.
Yeah.
Well, now we go into the legacy of this on Star Wars. And of course, it's kind of funny considering it was recently referenced in episode 1 of the hit Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, where Life Day is referenced. And recently, the creator of The Mandalorian has admitted in interviews that he's a big fan of the holiday special, and he would actually be interested in doing a modern version of the Star Wars holiday special. Can you imagine one day we could get a modern day Star Wars holiday special on Disney Plus?
Star Wars Holiday Special 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Man, see, Bob Iger's going to be raking that money.
No, not Bob Iger and George Lucas, although George Lucas has gone on record as saying he's not really a fan of what Disney's done with the franchise. But you know what? I blame that wholly and solely on the two side story movies, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, guys, the Star Wars Holiday Special, we had Life Day, we had Carrie Fisher singing, we had Harvey Korman and Dredd, we had B. Arthur at the Star Wars Cantina, we had Chewbacca's dad getting a virtual reality boner.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, that's one way of describing it.
Guys, I gotta say, the Star Wars Holiday Special is a thing on TV.
Rather bizarre thing on TV.
Yes.
Oh, but if you want to know about a real thing on TV...
Oh, yeah.
Wait for the next episode.
Yes.
It's one that the three of us have been waiting for probably the better part of 3 months.
Yeah, if you were thinking, guys, for Christmas about maybe we'll take the family and go see The Rise of Skywalker. No, forget that. Skip skiing The Rise of Skywalker. Listen to our podcast, okay? Because this episode is this show that we're about to cover is a show you need in your life.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yes, it is.
we'll give you all the details about how to find it. But there's no better way to christen your new speakers or your new devices than with our podcast. And then watch your devices commit harikiri as soon as you finish the podcast. Oh, it was so bad. No.
Well, it's like, take it to the Apple Genius Bar. Hey, this phone just stopped halfway into this new podcast I'm listening to. Is it the batteries? No, the batteries are fine. The podcast is just about a really bad thing. It's an entertaining podcast, but the subject matter is really bad.
Your mileage may vary on that statement.
Yes.
You might be able to find some joy in what we're going to cover next, but it'll be sort of like Schadenfreude-like joy. Joy in agony, or joy of agony. Well, we got through the Christmas episode. Okay, you guys got through the Christmas episode. I sort of gave up after half an hour because I didn't know what the heck was going on.
To be fair, Mike,
you know what? You spent time on Bruce Valanche, and you knew about that, so...
Well, I made it to the end credits because, like I said, I wanted to see the end credits, see if there's anybody worthwhile, and I wanted to see all the commercials.
Mike, to be fair, though, I'm sure everyone in 1978 had the same thoughts as you.
Yeah.
No, I mentioned it earlier. I think the younger generation would have definitely been interested, and it aired at 8 o'clock, 8 to 10 p.m., so that was, it wasn't like there was a school night the next day.
No, it wasn't. It was a Friday.
That's what I said. It wasn't a school night. It was on Friday, and also, there probably wasn't a whole heck of a lot of work that was going out because the following week was Thanksgiving, so that means there's probably at most a 3-day week.
Well, guys, before we leave, I just want to share one more thing I want to share with you guys before we wrap this up. Mala was played by an actor named Mickey Morton. So, you know what that means. At the end of the holiday special, Chewbacca has been kissed by a man. Merry Christmas.
Actually, where I thought you were going, Greg, is that Lumpy was played by Patty Maloney, and Patty Maloney is going to pop up in the near future because she was on the pilot episode of Monopoly. She was Mr. Monopoly, Rich Uncle Pennybags. The one that ran around the board. Yeah, that didn't make it to air.
The one that pissed off Peter Tamarkin.
Well, what didn't piss off Peter Tamarkin? But yes, Patty Maloney is one and the same.
Well, there you go. That's something to look forward to. As for what we've got going on next time, well, we pretty much went over that. Anyway, if you want more of It Was a Thing on TV, you can check out our website at itwasathingontv.com. That's easy to remember, right? There you can listen to archived episodes, follow our social media feeds, do all those fun things that the kids are doing these days.
Send us emails. We want to hear from you, good, bad, otherwise. If you got a submission that's not on our list, which is over 750 at this point, if you got that 751st, we want to hear from you. And if your submission gets featured on the show, you're going to get an It Was a Thing on TV t-shirt. I better not promise that because I'll have to make up It Was a Thing on TV t-shirts.
It's like, we have those now? Why aren't we selling this? No, okay.
We could go to 1 hour. We could go to 1 hour tease and ask, hey, do you want? We could make an It Was a Thing on TV storefront. We have a great design that says zippers.
Jeez.
And on that disappointment, I think it is time to end. For Mike Klaus and Greg Dieter, I'm Chico Alexander. Thank you so much for the company, and we will see you next time for another thing on TV. Bye. Well, now the question is, how do we end this disappointment of a show? And Greg, it looks like you have something. What do you have, Greg?
Well, guys, to play us out, let's hear from Harrison Ford on Late Night with Conan O'Brien back in 2006 when he was asked by Conan about the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I wanted to ask you for a while, and I've always restrained myself. Yeah. Star Wars, of course, came out in 1977, I believe. Huge international hit, one of the biggest hits of all time. Rockets you to superstardom. And then shortly afterwards, a Christmas special came out that was produced by George Lucas, in which all of the participants in Star Wars came together and they made this Star Wars Christmas special, and the tape's been passed around for years, and the rumor is that Lucas is trying to suppress it because none of you look happy while you're making this thing. And I thought I'd just ask you about it. Do you remember making this Christmas special? I think it was 1978. No, you don't remember it? You have no memory of this incident.
No, none whatsoever.
No memory of it at all.
No,
so it doesn't exist in your...
No, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
No.
What if I were to tell you that I had a little piece of tape right now? What if I were to roll that piece of tape? How would you feel about that?
I wouldn't feel... I don't know. I've never seen it. Maybe it'll be nice. Go ahead. Roll it.
The Star Wars Holiday Special.
Chewie, check and see if the coast is clear, will you? You're like family to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. That Wookiee looked at you with lust. That was...
Real affection.
Quasi-affection, yeah. All right.